hunter has to fight their human instinct to feel for the so-called enemy. To do so, he must strip them of name, individuality, culture, and respect. In this case, depicting his enemies as an Asian horde in need of culling.
Alibaba?
Because something is foreign, it usually means it's bad, until we try it. Now apply that systemic bigotry, and you have the British Empire. You've probably heard the phrase, open sesame. It's from a great Middle Eastern folktale called Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, where amongst other events, a poor woodcutter discovers a thieves' den and manages to open it by saying the magic words, revealing immeasurable treasure inside. The story received global fame, which spread the name Alibaba to every corner of Europe and later the United States. Not really knowledgeable about anything related to Middle Eastern cultures, except for that one story they heard as a kid, bigots at the time, and as deployed soldiers abroad started calling the enemy, or the minority, Alibaba. To give you modern context, think of people calling Somalis pirates because of their only reference point being that Tom Hanks movie, or Borat with the Kazakhstanis. The only thing they really know about a whole people comes from a single place of media or art. So, that being their only reference point, they...
Are you noticing something here? The etymology of slurs is actually really important. This is why I love this video. Because it says a lot about, because language says a lot about culture. And if you noticed, once again, the American version of slurs are so incredibly stupid and bottom of the barrel. No sophistication whatsoever. None whatsoever. You go to any other region. That's why I always say, like, European racism is different. Like, it's infinitely more difficult to understand. You have to do, like, genuine reading to be able to unlock, you know, even the precursory racist notions that the average European holds. I hate this. I hate this so much. Anyway, let's keep going.
Double down, unwilling or unwise enough to dig a bit deeper. Even in fiction, when entrenched enough, can open sesame to stereotypes.
Bog-trotter?
Imagine an island filled with swamps. Now imagine another island filled with swamps. That's Britain and Ireland. Now imagine one of these islands occupies the other for centuries, and one of the best slurs they can come up with as an island filled with swamps is to call the other ones swamp people, throwing stones in a glass swamp, I guess. So yeah, bog trotter, referring to the Irish as impoverished, dirty barbarians that live in swamps.
Sheepshagger?
One of the most classic slurs out there, calling a whole nation zoophilic. Arab, Turkish, and Persian bigots love calling Kurds sheep. Pakistani bigots do the same to Afghans, and urban Arabs to Bedouins. Mizrahi Jews and Arabs throw donkey lover at each other all the time, and pretty much every reactionary in the Balkans implies Albanians like to marry goats. The most famous version, though, at least in the Western Hemisphere, is the one used against the Welsh, a classic sheepshagger. Maybe the smoothest sounding slur on this entire list. Lesson, there isn't really one here. Urban versus rural areas are always going to manifest as some sort of crass play at obsession with animals or the soft urban life. If there's one slur category on this list I wouldn't take too seriously, it's probably this one.
Beaner?
It's a derogatory slur primarily targeting Mexicans and other Latin Americans, mocking their dietary staples like beans in Mexican cuisine, likely emerged in the early to mid-20th century in the US, tied to anti-Mexican racism and stereotypes about poverty. Basically, beans equals poor, which I take deep offense on, because beans, when done right, can be the taste.
Same to the curry one. The the colonist has an air of superiority that transcends or that seeps into every single aspect of existence for those it seeks to dominate. And it's very interesting that they will take something like objectively superior, the beans that exist, especially in Latin American cuisine, and they will literally use it as a pejorative. It's the same as like the British looking at India and saying, oh, they're curry eaters or whatever. It's delicious.
Tastiest thing ever. Similar to curry muncher, this slur is seeped in irony as Mexican food ended up becoming one of the most widely celebrated cuisines in the country amongst people of every single ethnicity. I think you're starting to see a pattern here, right? Like one group calling the other disgusting or cheap due to what they eat, wrapped into a perfect racism taco. Yes, I would love some hot peppers with that. Thank you.
Bimbo,
No, not the misogynistic term for hypersexualized women. It's the German slur for black people. The word likely entered the language during the late 19th/earliest 20th century, when the country had colonies in Africa like Cameroon, Togo, and Namibia. It's derived from bimboshi, a term for black laborers or servants in German East Africa. Scholars suggest it may have originated from local African languages like Swahili, but was distorted by German colonists into a derogatory term. In Nazi-era Germany, bimbo was used to demean black people, often associating them with subservience and primitivism. Today, bimbo is rarely used openly, but remains recognized as a racist relic. Most Germans associate it with historical racism rather than contemporary speech. If you're a black woman being accosted on the streets of Germany, don't be too quick to judge. Maybe they're not misogynistic pigs, but they're just being racist.
Balija, Ustasha, Setnik,
Serbs and Bosniaks. Hey, Ustasha, thank you for being Nazis during and after World War II. Bosniaks and Croats. Hey, Chetniks, thank you for supporting expansionist, monarchist, clerofascists during World War II. Serbs and Croats. Hey, Baliev, thank you for supporting the imperialist Ottoman occupation for 5 centuries. Basically, each of these...
They made the best boy slaves. Or at least that's what Alexa tells me. All jokes aside, the reason why I say that is because of the practice of devshirme. For those of you who don't know, the Ottoman Empire, a very interesting approach to slavery. Very still horrifying. It's slavery, right? Obviously, it's completely unacceptable. It's disgusting. Contrary to the very different chattel slavery. Oh, it reconnected. We're good. Hello. Are you guys ready? I was talking to you about the practice of devshirme, primarily Christian. The devshirme practice that one that the Ottomans applied, where they would go to towns, places that they conquered, villages they conquered, and they would basically take young boys who were non-Muslim and send them to education. And this education was quite literally, like it wasn't just like any kind of education. It was a very specific kind of education that would create some of the best soldiers in the form of janissaries, but not just the best soldiers, but even the best architects, the best teachers, and the best viziers, people that basically were elevated to the highest rungs of Ottoman society. Mimar Sinan, if I'm not mistaken, I believe is also a devshirme. He is one of the most important architects in the Ottoman Empire, in the entirety of the Ottoman Empire history. Many of the most famous people in the Ottoman Empire, historic figures, come from the devshirme program. They would teach them the arts, poetry, different languages, train them in every aspect of life. And then, just like unlike chattel slavery, what's really interesting is they had to be non-Muslim, right? So there are stories of Muslim parents lying about their children being, or Muslim parents basically lying, Muslim families lying about their kids because they were so poor. They would basically lie about them not being Muslim so they could send their kids off into the devshirme program. That's why I said jokingly, the Serbians made the best boy slaves. Yeah, so it's an interesting concept because they literally, incredible education, and would reach the highest rungs of society. Is it really the same as the dancing boys? No. No, there isn't. Eunuchs are totally different if that's what you're asking. Because I saw some people talking about eunuchs. The only eunuchs in Ottoman Empire were in the harem. And initially, the harem, like the person in charge of the harem leader or whatever, they used to hire, like they used to, use a black slave in the harems. And the reason for that was because obviously if the person who was in charge of the harem had sex with the concubines, then everyone would know because the babies would be black. So then they actually started the practice of snipping the harem lord's penis and balls and turn them into eunuchs. It's horrifying.